Good evening everyone and welcome to this live audio coverage in a pre-World Cup friendly between Norway and Sweden, two teams who they may well have never lifted the prestigious World Cup trophy, but they will be hoping to go all the way. But before their campaign starts in a little under 2 weeks' time, the competition beginning in 10 days out in North America, both these sides begin their campaigns, Norway on the 14th of June and Sweden beginning things on the 15th. But here at a bit of a wet and windy Ullevål Stadion in the Norwegian capital of Oslo, both teams have now made their way onto the pitch. They're just going through their national anthem, Sweden just having theirs done first, theirs being the away side in their classic yellow and blue, reflecting the colours of the Swedish national flag. The Norway players out in their red and blue, much like with Sweden's colourway of kit, reflecting their national flag. But let's bring you both sets of starting 11s, beginning with the home side, Norway. The manager Ståle Solbakken, he didn't have Erling Haaland or Martin Odegaard at his disposal for this game. He will have them for the World Cup, but neither of them are in the matchday squad today from his World Cup squad. But here is his starting 11. Ørjan Nyland starts in goal. Looks to be a classic 4-4-2 formation with Julian Ryerson and David Moller-Wolf as the two fullbacks. Torbjørn Heggum and Christopher Ayer play at centre-half. Antonio Nusa and Oscar Bob are the two wide men in the midfield four, with captain Sander Berg playing alongside Fredrik Arnsens in midfield, and that leaves Alexander Sorloth and Jorgen Strand Larsen up front. Strand Larsen, of course, off the back of winning the Conference League with Crystal Palace after his winter move from Wolverhampton Wanderers. On the bench for Norway, the two backup goalkeepers, Sander Tangvik and Egil Selvik. As for the other 11 men on the bench, it's Marcus Pedersen, Sondre Langas, Henrik Falkener, Fredrik Bjorkan, Leo Ostigard, Patrick Berg, Christian Thorstvedt, Thello Asgard, Jens Petter Haag and Morten Thorsby, also with youngster Andreas Schjelderup. As for Sweden, former Brighton and Chelsea manager Graham Potter, still the man at the helm. He has gone with the following. Derby County goalkeeper Jakob Vidal Zetterström starts in goal. Looks to be a three at the back formation with Gustav Lagerbielk playing at centre-half along with the captain Isaac Hien and Eric Smith. But it could become a five-back if either one of the two wide men, Herman Johansson or Daniel Svensson, maybe drop back a little bit more to help out defensively, or maybe they look to push on. The two central midfielders are Jesper Karlström and Yasin Ayari, and then just behind the striker Gustav Nilsson is Tottenham Hotspur's youngster Lucas Bergvall and Anthony Elanga. As for the bench for Sweden, they've gone with the full 15 on there. The two backup goalkeepers, Christopher Nordfeldt and Victor Johansson. The defensive men on the bench, Elliot Strud, Gabriel Gudmundsson, who had a fantastic season with Leeds United, Carl Stalfelt, Victor Lindelof, who won the Europa League with Aston Villa this season, Hjalmar Ekdal. As for the rest of the subs and outfielders, it's Ken Sema, Besfort Zeneli, Sebastian Nanasi, Matthias Svanberg, Taha Ali, Benjamin Nygren, Alexander Berhadsen and Alexander Isak. He's really the big name that isn't in this Sweden team this evening in Norway. A very big name to not play there from Graham Potter, but you have to respect his decisions at the end of the day. He is the manager. He's the one who is going with what he feels is squad that can go out and get some minutes before the World Cup, see what they can do just before they begin their campaign in the World Cup. He's only been in the job for 4 months as Sweden manager so far, only had 4 games. They have won 2 of them, but also have a draw and a loss on his record as Sweden manager. But as for Ståle Solbakken, the Norway manager, he's had plenty of time in this role, a little over a year and a half, or 2 years and a half I should say, in the job. 20 wins as Norway manager. Has been absolutely phenomenal for them, helping them get to the World Cup. Of course, it does help that he's got 2 of the best Norwegian players ever at his disposal in Odegaard and Haaland, but he doesn't have them tonight in his squad, resting them, of course, before the World Cup. Norway do also have another pre-World Cup friendly on Sunday. They're playing away against Morocco out in the United States before they begin their World Cup group against Iraq on the 16th of June. Sweden do also have another friendly themselves. They're playing on Thursday night against Greece before they begin against Tunisia on the 15th of June. Netherlands and Japan, the other teams in their group. As for Norway, along with Iraq, they're joined by Senegal and France. So not the easiest of groups for Norway, you could argue, but when you've got a player like Erling Haaland and also Martin Odegaard at your dispense, or even some of the players playing tonight. Alexander Sorloth has been all around Europe. Jürgen Strand-Larsen's just helped Crystal Palace win the Conference League. You look at Oscar Bobb as well, who had plenty of game time with Manchester City before he's moved to Fulham in January. But of course with Erling Haaland, 55 goals and 49 caps as a Norway player. That is absolutely phenomenal. But Sweden, we have to mention some of their starlets. Yasin Ayari playing for Brighton in the Premier League. Elanga and Bergvall have been there and done it in the Premier League themselves, respectively. Elanga with Nottingham Forest, who got to the Europa League semi-finals this season. Of course, Lucas Bergvall at Tottenham didn't have as good as a season, that must be said, with them very nearly being relegated to the English Championship in the second tier. But just before we have kick-off, the referee from Hungary, Balázs Burka, he's called both teams just up into the centre circle as we have a moment of remembrance here in Oslo. Both teams just stood around the centre circle. Just a quick minute's silence before kick-off here in Oslo, and Norway and Sweden getting ready for their World Cup campaigns. It looks as if from the kick-off it's going to be Norway in their hit that very much is a direct copy of the Norwegian flag. It's got the blue and white cross just to the left of the centre and then the red background for it. Looks like they'll be kicking from left to right in this first half as we just await it to get underway here in Oslo, in the capital of Norway, at the Ullevål Stadion. As everyone, even on the bench, all stood up and just waiting to get this game properly kicked off. Norway and Sweden, they've had plenty of matches against one another over the years, of course being neighbouring countries up in Scandinavia, right next to one another. Very easy friendly to play, especially with both of them in the World Cup as well. But just looking at the head-to-head record between these two sides, there has been countless games between them. Norway winning I should say Sweden winning a lot more of them between the two, but tides are very much turned. When you look at the squads between one another, you would say Norway perhaps just edge it a little bit, but of the games that have been played before today, 58 wins for Sweden. There's been 26 draws, and Norway have also won 26. In terms of goals scored in those meetings, Norway have only scored 152, Sweden 276. So in terms of looking at the head-to-head record, this one you could argue is only going to go one way this evening in this pre-World Cup friendly, but you never know what can happen in a game of football. As that moment of remembrance has been done, the referee blows his whistle, everyone gets into position, so Norway will be kicking from left to right in their red and blue kit this evening here in Oslo, but it will be Sweden in the yellow and blue to get us underway in Norway and this pre-World Cup international friendly, to see how they will shape up for the biggest tournament in international football. Only comes around every 4 years, but it's oh so special when it does. And the referee blows his whistle. Sweden get us underway with Anthony Elanga, and it goes all the way back to the goalkeeper Zetterström, who's happy just to smash it long. Nilsson able to win the flick on, unable to find a teammate though, and Norway can try and get the ball up into the Sweden half. And they're searching for Strand-Larsen. That one has gone out of play for a throw-in, and we're already going to have a brief stoppage in play here. Julian Ryerson, the Norway right back, just caught a little bit of an elbow in the face there as he went up for the header with Nilsson. He seems to be okay, and there's any visible blood on him. And so we're just going to restart play with that Sweden throw-in inside their own half. It's gone back to the goalkeeper Zetterström, who had a fine season with Derby County in the English Championship. Just about missed out on a playoff spot in the top 6 due to a final day defeat, but they're never in the top 6 in the latter stages of the season, but were very unfortunate to miss out. And I have to say, for Zetterström, very much deserves the call up to go to the World Cup. Victor Johansson also there, who plays in the Championship himself with Stoke City. But in the meantime, Norway have pumped the ball long, looking to try and set away either one of Sorloth or Strand Larsen. But Zetterström is off his line quickly, able to deal with it. Now with Ayari for Sweden, but he's been brought down by the back of his shirt and by Orsens, and that's going to be Sweden free kick. The manager Graham Potter just sat down watching on with a very keen eye. He'll be hoping that his team can do the business here in Oslo and set them up nicely for that friendly in midweek before they begin their World Cup campaign. As their goalkeeper Zetterström, he's had a lot of the ball early on in this game, and he's just tried to play one high up the pitch and get the ball away from his own goal. He does that. It goes out of play for a Norway throw-in on the halfway line, taken quickly, easily headed away though by Karlström. Sweden just trying to keep possession, but good determination from Nusa, who's trying to set himself away down the left-hand side. He wins the ball back, and as he sprints down the left-hand side, the referee blows his whistle just to bring it back for an earlier foul and award the free kick. And Nusa, you can very much understand, he's not all too happy with that decision, because Norway won the ball back. They were looking to try and play an advantage, but the referee was quick to act on it, and he brings it back. So Norwegian players not all too happy about it, but if they can get something off of this set piece, then I don't think they'll be worrying all too much about it being given in the first place. So Nusa stands over it on the left-hand side, right by the byline, level with the corner of the box. Good delivery, but it's headed away by a defender. Straight back out to Nusa. It's played down the left-hand side. Ball goes up into the penalty area. The shot comes in, but it's deflected, and it will go behind for a Sweden goal kick. But Nusa there, very much getting himself involved there, just trying to cut into the penalty area and work his shooting opportunity, unable to guide the effort goalwards. So the goal kick taken quickly by Sweden to try and build the play down their right hand side with Johansson. He's been dispossessed by Nusa, goes out of play for a throw-in. Sweden happy to take that one quickly and try and get centre back Eric Smith involved. He's going back to the captain Hyen, to just try and get his head up and play a pass across. Here he is again, Hyen, trying to shift the ball onto his right foot. Finds Lagerbielk, goes up to the right hand side for Johansson, played infield for Nilsson. Sweden are forced back to Johansson again over on that right hand side. And he's just had to knock the ball back into the Sweden half. They go long, a bit of a heavy chested touch there from Svensson. Ball given away with an infield pass. And Norway able to just control the possession now, go back into their own half with Ryerson. A little diagonal ball from Sanderberg out to Nusa on this left hand side, and he's tried to get Moller Wolf involved on the overlap, but it's gone back to Nusa, who just has to knock it back to the halfway line. Both teams are happy just to keep the ball here in the meantime. It's with Orsens, who's happy to knock it back into his own half. Christopher Ayer happy to keep possession, plays it short to Ryerson, and Norway have been able to clear one up over the top. Strand Larsen's got there on the right hand side of the penalty area, lays it off for Sorloth by the edge of the box. And Nusa getting involved now with Ryerson out wide to Bob on the right hand side, level with the corner of the penalty area, plays it centrally, tries a give and go. The pass is deflected as Zetterström though is able to come with his line quickly enough and claim the ball before Oscar Bob could get back onto it. But that was good play from Norway. That's the nearest we've seen either side threatening the opposition goal. It was good football down that right hand side between Bob and Sorloth, just exchanging the neat little 1-2, and that wasn't good football at all there from Sweden. Isaac Hyen just putting way too much power on his pass. That goes out of play for a throw-in. Here is Ryerson for Norway, plays it wide to Bob, right-hand side. Has to go back to Ryerson. Has the ball on his right foot. He's right by the byline. Tries to pass down the right-hand side to Oscar Bob. Takes a deflection off Svensson. So going to be a throw-in for Norway. But they're forced backwards here because Anthony Elanga is putting on the burners here. He's just chasing down every pass back to the goalkeeper Nyland, who has booted it long up over the head of everyone, and it's right into the gloves of the Swedish goalkeeper Jakob Zetterström. And he's happy to roll the ball out short to one of his centre halves, Lagerbielk. Now played centrally for Eric Smith. And Ayari's got himself involved, dropping deep from midfield. He's kicked the ball right into the leg of Sander Berg. He's lucky that that one deflected straight back into his possession, as there's a heavy touch from Hegum, who's just trying to defend Anthony Elanga over on the right-hand side by the byline. But Elanga came back from an offside position, so the referee awards the free kick. Norway take it quickly, and they can try and build forward with Ryerson on the right-hand side. Forward goes Ryerson, up level with the corner of the penalty area, uses Oscar Bob, gets it onto his left foot, happy just to play the pass infield to Sander Berg. Back out wide it goes to Ryerson. Norway just happy to keep the ball for now, try and open up that passing lane to get the ball into. Ryerson playing it infield for Berg. Back it goes to the centre-back Hegum. Now it's over on that left-hand side with Nusa up by the corner of the penalty area. Nusa now comes in field, clips a high cross up to the back post, and it's just under hit though, so it couldn't reach anyone. Headed away by a Swedish defender. It's only cleared as far as the halfway line for Christopher Ayer. And now Norway have the ball back inside the Sweden half. Again, they're using the wide areas to try and attack them. It's with Nusa, left-hand side, crossing to the penalty area. It's headed as far as Oscar Bob by the right corner of the 6-yard box. Laid off for Ryerson, and it hits the head of Strand Larsen, and that ends up in the bottom left corner. We've only played 8 minutes in Norway, but young Jorgen Strand Larsen has given them the lead. It was a fortunate goal at that, but he will not mind whatsoever. But Norway, again, it's those wide areas that cause the issue for the Swedes. It was really good build-up. The ball got played out to the left-hand side. Nusa, who's been a real thorn in Sweden's side so far, just got the ball over on that left-hand side, just ran at his defender, saw the space to get the cross into the penalty area on his right foot. It couldn't reach someone, but the header away from high end just fell straight to Oscar Bob and nodded it back to Ryerson by the edge of the penalty area, whose ferocious effort on the right foot. Strand Larsen, right place at the right time, and clever from him just to flick his head on and get a touch on the ball to guide it beyond the full stretch of the goalkeeper Zetterström. 9 minutes gone in Oslo. It's Norway 1, Sweden 0, and Jorgen Strand Larsen, the Crystal Palace man up front, scores his 12th goal for his country, and he's opened the scoring for Norway. And Sweden, straight from kick-off, try and get the ball forward up the other end. It's cleared away though, and that one is headed away by a Swedish defender as they try and get the ball up the pitch. It's flicked onto the halfway line. Orsnens is there to get it, but he's given away possession. Nilsson for Sweden winning it back now with Lucas Bergvall. It's in the centre circle now for Sweden with Eric Smith. He's had to knock it across to his centre-half partner, Lagerbielk. And Sweden keeping the ball for now. Well, so far for Norway, no Haaland, no problem. With Strand Larsen heading in the original shot from Ryerson, who didn't look all too disappointed when his teammate flicked the ball into the net, rather than just have a bit of a laugh to himself and say to his teammate, "Oh, you've stolen one off me there." And he was more than happy there, Julian Ryerson. He just gave a big punch to the air and he mobbed his teammate. There's Strand Larsen. He's won the ball on halfway for Norway, and they can try and break here with Oscar Bob, who's got the ball on his left foot. Good through ball. Nusa lets it run through, and the cross comes into the penalty area. Sweden don't fully clear it. Ryerson picks the ball up, right-hand side by the edge of the box. Good cross into the penalty area. It's headed away, only as far as Oscar Bob, who's about 25 yards out. Central position, gives it to Sander Berg. Now with Ryerson, right-hand side, crossing to the penalty area. Again headed away, but Norway have it back in the box. Noosa on the volley! That wasn't far off at all. It was a tight angle for Antonio Noosa, but it's set up nicely for him to just hit on the volley. Ends up just going into the side netting of the Swedish goal, just to the right-hand side, but it was a really neat bit of control from him, just from the header up to him, just with his back to goal on his right foot, flicked it up in the air, sat for him on the volley, and ends up hitting it into the side of the goal. But Norway looking really dangerous, and that's an awful loose pass from Bergvall in field. Oscar Bob in the D, looks to lay it off to Strand Larsen, who just takes too heavy of a touch, and it just scoops up off his right foot over everyone, and Zetterström claims it in both gloves. And well, he's a very, very lucky man there, Lucas Bergvall, because that was a dreadful pass back from him from midfield to his own defender, underhit it completely. And if Strand Larsen just took a little bit lighter of a first touch, he maybe could have doubled his tally for the evening, as Ryerson steals it off Svensson down for Norway, down the right-hand side. Ryerson laying it off to Oscar Bob, and he's gone back to the captain Sander Berg. Ryerson going back to Berg. Norway happy here to just slow down the pace of things. They've got it on the halfway line with their defender Torbjorn Hegem. He's gone back to him. He's looked to try and play a pass in field, but it's been given away, and Sweden can try and hit Norway on the counter, but again a little bit of an underhit pass out to the wide areas, but they have kept it with Johansson, who's gone back to the captain Isaac Hyen, who's happy just to knock the ball short for Yasin Ayari. It goes back to Hyen, now with Smith. Good reverse pass to set away Elanga on this right-hand side for Sweden, but Norway have won it back. Now off will go Oscar Bob, who's got the chance to run at his defender, and he's completely left him for dead. Oscar Bob now, right-hand side of the penalty area for Norway. Can he cut it across? He can. No one's there, though, in a red shirt to get on the end of it, and as Bergvall tries to carry the ball forward, he's been dispossessed. The referee, though, feels that it was a bit too strong from Sander Berg, the Norway captain, so he's going to give a free kick to Sweden, who's away following. They're all just gathered up in the bottom right corner of the Ullevall Stadion here in Oslo. Not many of them have made the journey over from Sweden, but those that have, they're all making a fair bit of noise, but almost a sellout here in Oslo. So many supporters out here to cheer their team on in their final game in Norway before going off to America to play another friendly, then begin their World Cup campaign. And any Norway fan who makes the journey over the Atlantic Ocean to North America to go and watch them, you have to say completely fair play to them. It's certainly not an easy or short journey to make, as here comes Sweden in their yellow and blue kits, kicking from right to left, looking to try and find that equalising goal after Jorgen Strand Larsen gave Norway the lead. As Sweden get the ball out to the right-hand side, but it must be worth noting Norway winning this game at the moment without Erling Haaland or Martin Odegaard. They are both in the World Cup squad, but they're not involved in the matchday squad today, as Norway having to just try and defend a bit of Sweden possession here, but they're forced back into their own half are Sweden, and they're forced to play the ball into the centre circle for Ayari, and it's gone back to Lagerbielk. He's got it out to Johansson on the right-hand side by the byline. It's still, the ball's still inside the Sweden half at the moment. They're unable to just get anywhere near the Norway goal. They've had to go back to Hyen, now with Smith back to Hyen. The Swedish centre halves, just all they can do at the moment is exchange the ball between one another. Smith and Hyen now do some short passes. It's gone over to Lagerbielk. He's played the ball long and high down the right-hand side. It's headed away, but straight at Nilsson, and Ayari just unable to get full control of the ball, and now Norway can hit Sweden on the counter. Here goes Nusa, and it's 3-on-3. Nusa trying to beat his defender. He plays it to Sorloth in the D, and he lays it off to Oscar Bob. 1-on-1 round the goalkeeper. Tries to cut it across, but it gets blocked by a defender, and Sweden are able to clear it away. But Oscar Bob there just took himself a little bit too far wide. He didn't really need to take it around the goalkeeper. He was played clean through by Sorloth. He was 1-on-1, had at least 10 yards of space to the right of goal. Now Sweden have gone up the other end. Can they maybe put the ball in the back of the net? It's with Svensson, and he's found Ayari, left-hand side of the penalty area. Back it goes to Ilanga, tries to curl a shot on his right foot, blocked by a defender. Nusa goes up for a header, wins it. The referee happy to wave play on, and Oscar Bob has to go back to Ryerson, so Norway can keep the ball by the left corner of their penalty area. But going back to that chance for Oscar Bob, what a golden opportunity for him. And on that counter-attack, Norway, they played it to perfection. Nusa just using his pace to break away, found Sorloth in the D, just laid it off to his right-hand side, and all Oscar Bob had to do was just pick either side of the goalkeeper, Zetterström, and you felt he would have made it 2-0, but just tried to take it round him and give himself the open goal. But he took it straight to the line by the goal, and all he could do then was cut it across, and by then Sweden had the bodies back to defend. And you really feel that that's a really good opportunity wasted from the home side. But they're still leading by a goal to 0 though, and they haven't really been under all too much pressure as they've now got the ball back in the Sweden half. And here he is again, Antonio Nusa, left-hand side, scuffs his pass, but he finds Sorloth by the edge of the penalty area. Now with Oscar Bob, right-hand side, gives it to Ryerson, low ball in, Zetterström just about palming it away, but it's only gone as far as Sander Berg on the edge of the penalty area. Still Norway in possession with Berg. Good through ball to Nusa, left of goal, in the penalty area. Great finish from Antonio Nusa, and he deserves a goal for his play so far. Norway have doubled their lead. That is a wonderful bit of play down the left-hand side, and Antonio Nusa, who really has been the best player on the pitch so far in a red shirt, or of any player in any colour shirt so far this evening. He makes it Norway 2, Sweden 0. But Antonio Nusa, it was just absolutely phenomenal from him in this game so far. He very much deserves a goal, and you have to say a second Norway one has been coming. Just lovely play down that left-hand side. Sander Berg, great vision just to spot the through ball into that space on the left-hand side of the penalty area, but Nusa controlled it on his left foot, got it onto his right, and by the corner of the 6-yard box just places it beyond the stretch of Zetterström, and Norway double up their advantage for the evening. And you have to say they thoroughly deserve it so far. Absolutely fantastic play. Antonio Nusa doubling up the lead for Norway, and that now makes it for him. That's 8 goals for his country, but truly brilliant from the RB Leipzig wide man. He's only 21 years of age, but he truly, just based off what I've seen here tonight in Oslo, he really is looking to be a star in the making for Norway. He's been absolutely fantastic tonight, and he thoroughly deserves that goal. So 2-0 now to Norway with 19 minutes gone at the Ullevål Stadion. Strand Larsen getting the opener, Nusa making it 2. In the meantime, Norway have it with their centre-back Christopher Ayer on the halfway line, now with Ryerson on the right-hand side. Plays it back to the edge of his own penalty area, and Norway just happy to try and build up from the back. But once again, I already have mentioned it a few times, in case you may have forgotten or you're only just joining us, with Norway 2-0 up, Erling Haaland and Martin Odegaard, they're not in the squad at all for Norway tonight. They're in the World Cup squad coming up for the competition because, of course, they have to be. Erling Haaland scored 55 goals in 49 games for Norway. Martin Odegaard's just won the Premier League with Arsenal, albeit did lose the Champions League final to PSG on Saturday afternoon. But even without them, Strand Larsen and Nusa, they both got the goals. They're very much doing the job, and their manager Ståle Solbakken and also the Norwegian fans, they will be delighted to see that they can still carve out opportunities, they can score goals, and they don't even have their best players to ever play for them, you could argue. It has strong challenge there by Alexander Sorloth on Isaac Hayen. He wins all of the ball and just lets him know that he's there though, and just leaves a little bit in on him. That's going to go behind for the goal kick, which Zetterström will take. He's just placed the ball on the edge of his 6-yard box, dead centre, and even though he's got short options to pass the ball to, and he tells everyone, just get up the pitch, I'm going to hit this one long and try my luck. He's hit it right at the head of the Norway defender Christopher Ayer. Lucas Bergvall just trying to get possession back for Sweden on halfway. Heavy touch though. Norway win it back, and now they're able again to just take their time. This is very much, it seems like, what it's the game plan so far tonight from Ståle Solbakken, and he's happy just to watch his team keep the ball, just wait for a Swedish player to come out of position and just play that through ball and be able to carve out opportunities. It's exactly what happened for the Noosa goal. Just Sander Berg and just got himself into a good area and just spotted the space to knock a through ball into, and Noosa and just got it on his right foot, cut inside, and a lovely finish. And now maybe can Norway replicate a little bit of that with Ryerson by the right hand side, level with the corner of the penalty area. He's played it infield though, and it's gone back out to him by the byline, Julian Ryerson, but it's passed back down the line, goes out of play. Did take a deflection though, so Norway will have a throw in, level with that right corner of the penalty area of which they're attacking, but they're forced to just play the ball back here. Christopher Ayer knocking it short to the captain Sander Berg, goes short to Torbjorn Hegem. Norway now just go all the way back to the goalkeeper Ørjan Nyland, just stood inside his penalty area, just waiting for a passing option. 35 years old, Ørjan Nyland, the Norway number 1, currently playing for Sevilla out in Spain, who had a topsy-turvy season at that, and they were threatened by relegation all season, but were able to get enough points to steer them into mid-table when it mattered most. Here is Ryerson in the meantime for Norway, plays it out wide to Sorloth on the right-hand side, trying to beat his defender. He gets tackled. Norway get themselves the first corner of the game. They lead by 2-0 at the Ullevål Stadion here in Oslo. They're putting on a show for all the supporters who have come out to support them in their final game in Norway before they go off to the United States and North America to play in the World Cup. So what can they conjure up here from this corner over on the right-hand side? It's going to be delivered in by Julian Ryerson. Gets it put in on his right foot, up high. It's flicked on. Sweden able to clear it away though. Ayari just volleying it away. It's only gone as far as Sander Berg, and now here is Noosa, goes back out wide, and the cross comes up high to the back post. It's headed across the edge of the 6-yard box. It's cleared, but Ryerson wins it back. He puts a cross up high to the back post. Bit of a heavy touch, but Norway have kept it. Here's Noosa again, left corner of the penalty area, tries his luck again on his right foot. This time the shot is deflected, goes as far as Oscar Bob, who just tries a first-time layoff on his left foot, but it's just a little bit too heavy of a touch. That one's gone right out of play for a throw-in, as the Norway fans, very much replicating their Viking ancestors before them in the stands. They are all just sat in their seats, and they're doing a rowing motion as if they've got 2 big wooden boat oars either side of them. They're just sat rowing back to front, mimicking that they're just sailing a high Viking ship. You very much could make that easy analogy of the Norwegian Vikings making their way over the Atlantic Ocean to go and try and conquer the United States at this upcoming Summer World Cup. As here's Oscar Bob for Norway, and he's got himself into the penalty area, pulled back. Oh, it should have been 3-0. That was an excellent chance for a second for Jorgen Strand Larsen, just put it wide of the left-hand post, but again it's the wide areas causing all sorts of issues for the Swedish defence. But Oscar Bob there, brilliant quality from the youngster, just down the right-hand side, beat 2 defenders, cut it back for Strand Larsen, just ever so slightly to the right of centre in the penalty area, but his effort just rolls wide of the post, and he knew he should have done better because he put his head in his hand straight away after he saw his shot. As that's a real bit of quality there from Ryerson. Just had the ball right on the byline, under pressure in his own half, back heel infield, but Sweden win it back. But it's a poor pass from them to give away possession, and Noosa brought down just to the right of the halfway line. The referee quick on the scene to award the free kick, but you can tell why Herman Johansson wants to bring him down. I think even though we've only played 25.5 minutes of the first half, I think he's already had enough of Antonio Noosa over on that left-hand side, because every time Noosa gets the ball, he just runs at him, he beats him for pace, he's giving him an absolute nightmare so far over on that left-hand side of the Norwegian midfield. But he's been absolutely excellent so far. Antonio Noosa has long ball, goes forward from Norway. Oscar Bob trying to challenge for it, unable to win the ball, but a poor pass from Smith gives possession back to Norway. Here they go again on the left-hand side, and here he is, Noosa, looking to try and cause a bit more chaos. He's crossed it into the penalty area. Sorloth's header down. Is it going to be 3? No, it's a great save from Zetterström. I think it was Strand Larsen again who's come close to making it 3, but Sorloth just was trying to be unselfish there. He could have gone for goal himself with the header because he was on the edge of the 6-yard box. Noosa's cross was inch perfect. Just nodded it down to Strand Larsen, who from about 5 yards out just couldn't find an effort. But here comes Sweden up the other end. Nilsson trying to get round the keeper. His shot is blocked. Nilsson trying to volley it again. Nyland makes the save. Still not cleared though by Norway. It's in the penalty area. Curling effort comes in from Svensson, but that one just curls too far wide of the goal and well over the crossbar. But action at both ends there in quick succession. Norway could have seen themselves go 3-0 up, but right up the other end, Sweden nearly halving the deficit as Gustaf Nilsson just pounced on a bit of a loose touch from a Norwegian defender and just tried to take it round Ørjan Nyland, just got it to the right of goal, tried to chip it over the goalkeeper, but the shot was blocked, and then he got a second bite of the cherry on the volley, but really good save from Nyland to palm it away, and a really good goal kick from him right up into the chest of Strand Larsen. Sorloth laying it off to Noosa again. Lovely footwork, just beats his defender. Forward he goes, and still Noosa. He's beat 3 Swedish defenders, but he's just forced a little bit too far wide out on the left wing by the byline, so he just has to lay it off to a teammate. But they just cannot cope with him so far tonight, the Swedish defence. Antonio Noosa, if there's any coaches of Norway's opposition in their World Cup group, or even coaches of teams that are scouting him, he's only 21 years old, remember, plays his football out in Germany for RB Leipzig. If there's any coaches who are here in Oslo watching him tonight, then expect a lot of interest over the summer in this young man, because he's been really, really good in this match so far. And Nyland, another brilliant little bit of distribution from him. Low ball out to Strand Larsen on halfway, gives it to Noosa. Strand Larsen again on the left wing, pass infield is blocked, it drops for Sorloth. Now with Noosa for Norway, left hand side, edge of the penalty area, into the box, cross up high to the back post, overhit though, over the head of everyone, goes behind for a Sweden goal kick. But Sweden in this game really, really lacklustre. Mentioned already just now about if there's any coaches of opposition teams who have come out here to Oslo to watch this game, to scout Norway. If you're an opposition manager or a member of coaching staff of upcoming opponents for Sweden, at the moment, based off the 29 minutes that have been played, you needn't have worried about them. They really have looked so poor, albeit they are but without Victor Gyökeres tonight, who of course is going to the World Cup, the Arsenal striker, but also Alexander Isak on the bench. But you feel even if they were playing in this game, either one of Isak or Gyökeres, maybe even both of them, you wouldn't really worry about anyone else on the pitch, because they're just not creating these opportunities that you would expect them to at the moment. We're under the like of a manager like Graham Potter, who's been there and done it at good levels in European football, and there's players even in this squad, even if there is no Gyökeres or Isak. Anthony Elanga and Lucas Bergvall have played in the Premier League all season and have done good jobs for their sides. Yasin Ayari as well is very much a regular for Brighton and Hove Albion. They ended up in European football for next season. They're going to be playing in the UEFA Conference League. But in the meantime, with half an hour played. Norway 2-0 up. Can they maybe go and get a third on this attacking move? It's with Ryerson down the right-hand side. He's up to the edge of the penalty area. His cross gets into the near post, and Zetterström has to stretch himself out to just get any bit of his body on that to get it away. But Norway have got possession back here with Sander Berg in the centre circle to the right of the halfway line. Plays it out to the left-hand side for Moller Wolf, who has just been relegated from the Premier League with Wolverhampton Wanderers. It will be interesting to see if he stays at the club going into the Championship next season in England's second tier, as Hegum does well there to not be caught out by Bergvall, and just does well to turn away from him and keep possession. And here in Norway again, it's Oscar Bob in a central position. He's now had to go out to the right-hand side for Ryerson. Back with Oscar Bob, right corner of the penalty area. Nutmegs his defender, he's into the box. Oscar Bob still going to the edge of the 6-yard box, tries to lay it off, but a defender gets there first and he smashes it away up high. And Norway have got a throw in level with the left corner of their own penalty area. But Oscar Bob there showcasing the abilities that he's known for. Of course, no longer a Manchester City player, spent years there in the academy, made the breakthrough up into the first team, but after a lack of first team minutes in the Premier League season, made the switch to go to Fulham, stayed in the Premier League for the second half of the season, but there he just absolutely teased the Swedish defender Eric Smith. Just lovely little nutmeg, got up to the corner of the 6-yard box, but just unable to make something happen in the final stage there. But much like Nusa over on the other side, he's having a fine game so far. But Oscar Bob, he doesn't score very often, has only got 3 senior goals to his name. And the last goal he scored was in the Club World Cup before the Premier League season even began, when he was playing for Manchester City and scored against the United Arab Emirates side Al Ain. That was a 6-0 win for Man City that day. But here come Norway, who at the moment, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they go and win 6-0. That's how just good they've been going forward, as Sander Berg tries to get across into the penalty area from the right-hand side. He's unable to guide it in, though, on a red shirt. Has Christopher Ayer gets forward from centre half. He's deemed to have brought down the Swedish striker Gustav Nilsson. He's not happy with the referee's decision. He just puts both arms out and he's screaming in disagreement that shouldn't have been given. He's not been booked by the referee for disagreeing with the decision, and perhaps some harsh words that maybe came out of his mouth, maybe not. But the free kick taken by Sweden. They're just keeping the ball in their own defensive third at the moment. They've now got it over the halfway line. It's played out wide to Daniel Svensson, goes infield to Elanga, back now with Svensson. It's on the halfway line with Eric Smith, plays a long diagonal ball out to the right hand side, header up into the penalty area. No one's there though in a yellow and blue shirt to get on the end of it. Norway able to clear the ball away. Strand Larsen tries to just lay it off to Sorloth. He thought that took a deflection, and it went after it went out for a throw-in. A few Norwegian players agree with that they thought it was going to be given in their favour, but the referee gives it to Sweden, who have taken it quickly. They're looking just to try and get something out of this game at the moment, because they've been really lacklustre, as Elanga there tries to get beyond Ryerson and just gets a bit of a strong shoulder barge. He goes down, referee gives the free kick. So 11 minutes to go of the first half here at the Ullevål Stadion in Oslo, the Norwegian capital. It's the home side who have been the ones really putting on a show so far. They lead by 2-0. Jorgen Strand Larsen and Antonio Nusa on the score sheet, as Sweden now in possession by the left corner of the penalty area. Svensson trying to play it infield to Bergvall, who's just trying to twist and turn his way away from Oscar Bob, who's just left a bit in there on Svensson, but the referee doesn't award the free kick, and as Svensson just lays on the floor complaining, Bob just kicks the ball into the back of him and he wins his side a throw-in. And Svensson and Oscar Bob there and just exchange a few words with one another. I think Oscar Bob there and just perhaps saying to him that, look, you've gone down a bit easily there, mate. And you know that the referee's not going to give that. Svensson, just the look on his face, I think he very much disagrees with the words of Oscar Bob there. As Norway take the throw in. Alexander Sorloth drops deep from centre forward and plays a gorgeous cross-field pass out to the left-hand side for Moller Wolf. Now here is Noosa. Again, he's going to try and run at Johansson, and he's got the better of him here. Noosa, central position by the edge of the penalty area. Gives it to Ryerson. Now with Oscar Bob, right corner of the penalty area. Left-footed cross up high. Header at the back post. Just goes wide to the left of the Swedish goal. Again, Alexander Sorloth was in there, but it was actually headed behind by the Swedish defender Lagerbielk, so it's going to go behind for a Norwegian corner. And when you've got a big man in there like Alexander Sorloth, and also you've got the likes of Jorgen Strand Larsen in there, they're both over 190 centimetres in height, so they're two big men up there in the penalty area to try and aim for. And Strand Larsen's already scored in this game. Sorloth's had a few headed opportunities that haven't led to too much, but Norway, their second corner of the game, the second one overall, 9 minutes to go of the first half, they lead by 2 goals to 0, looking to try and add to their lead here, as they've got this corner over on the left hand side, just trying to get themselves that third goal and really put the game to bed before we even reach the half-time mark, as Sweden really just have been nowhere near it so far in this game, as Norway really just showing to the rest of their teams in their group that they mean business, and even without Odegaard and Haaland, that they can do a job against other sides, and that maybe they could be the dark horses going into the World Cup. As here's Strand Larsen, oh, he's got a brace! The man who won the Conference League with Crystal Palace, putting on a show in the urine of this international friendly. You've got to watch out for him, it seems. Jorgen Strand Larsen gets his brace. He's doubled the lead for Norway with another fine finish, and he's made it Norway 3, Sweden 0. No Erling Haaland, not a problem whatsoever for Norway. Jorgen Strand Larsen proving his worth for Norway tonight. He's made it 3-0, and Norway pretty much have now just wrapped this game up completely. We haven't even played 37 minutes of the game. It's 3-0. Jorgen Strand Larsen has got 2. And Sweden look in real trouble now. And you've got to think that Graham Potter has got a big team talk ahead for this half-time talk, because his side have been absolutely nowhere near it at the moment. As the ball now goes back to Ryerson on the right hand side for Norway, they're right back now with Oscar Bob just by the halfway line, and Norway now have it just to the left still of the halfway line, ball in their own half, and they're just happy to keep possession at the moment in that defensive third, and it's now gone into midfield with Orsens, and it's now with the striker Sorloth, and he's looking to try and break forward, and he's got it out to the left hand side, low ball into the penalty area, it's blocked and ends up being cleared away. It goes behind for the throw in. Norway have it by the left hand side, level with the penalty area. They're leading by 3 goals to 0. Jorgen Strand Larsen, who's just nodded the ball back out onto the left hand side, he's got 2. He's having a fine game up front, just after winning the Europa Conference League with Crystal Palace. Didn't have the best of seasons in the Premier League. Started off with Wolverhampton Wanderers. He only scored 1 goal in 22 games, only scored 3 in 14 for Crystal Palace, but he's upped his tally for Norway tonight, up to 7 goals in 28 games for his country, and in this very game he's already scored half the amount of goals that he did in the entire Premier League season. So he's very much giving Ståle Solbakken a bit of a headache as to who maybe will be the partner to Sorloth up front in the World Cup. As a bit of an interesting decision there from the referee, because Yasin Ayari of Sweden, he's just got forward, he got up to the left-hand side by the edge of the penalty area. It looked like he was very much brought down there by a Norway man. The referee waved it away. Play has resumed. A few Swedish players are just going over to have a word with the referee in the meantime, but Sweden still have it. They've got it on the right-hand side with Ilanga, who's just happy to play it back, and he's got it back out to that right-hand side. And here is Ilanga on the edge of the penalty area. Dazzling feet from him, but as he tries the layoff, it's gone straight to Oscar Bob, and now here comes Nusa for Norway on the break. Strand Larsen now on halfway. The referee happy to wave play on. Nusa just still laid down though in the meantime, but Norway are forced wide here with Sorloth, and he's been dragged down by the back of his shirt by the Swedish captain Isaac Hyen, and that's going to be a free kick for Norway. And now Sorloth is just down on his backside in the turf, just stretching his leg out, making sure that he is okay. But Nusa there, after he tried to break forward and he was able to lay the ball off, he did get caught by a bit of a nasty challenge. Sorloth as well, can see why he's gone down, because as Hyen was just trying to drag him down into the turf, he did actually just almost stamp on the top of Sorloth's boot there, but the referee's not given any cards. Both Sorloth and Nusa are back up to their feet and they're okay to continue, so we will just have the free kick to get play restarted as we're approaching the final 3 minutes of this first half here in Oslo. It's Norway 3, Sweden 0 in a pre-World Cup international friendly, and at the moment you've got to keep your eyes out for Norway going into the World Cup, because they're 3-0 up in this game, doing it without Erling Haaland or Martin Odegaard. As for Sweden, you can't help but worry for them going into the World Cup, albeit they've got a bit, you could argue maybe a bit of a favourable group, having to play Tunisia and Japan, but the Netherlands are in there also. It could be a bit of a dangerous one for them, but if you're basing it off this international friendly, they're playing Greece as well on Thursday night over in Sweden, in Solna, but based off their showing so far tonight, you can't help but worry for them, as Norway now have it in their defensive third rather, with Christopher Ayer. He's played it short to Ryerson, now with Oscar Bob on halfway, who's just being so tightly marked there by Eric Smith, who just was all over him there. Well, Smith, the Swedish defender, and just grappling the back of Oscar Bob's shirt, preventing him from getting any further forward up the pitch. And then it goes behind for a throw-in, of which is played short to Ryerson. Again, Norway with a fantastic cross-field pass. Ryerson finding Nusa, clips it over the top, looking for Strand Larsen, but it's headed away by Hyen. It goes up to the left-hand side, cross in, looking for Sorloth, but it's headed away by a defender. And Norway now just having to try and defend this Swedish counter-attack. As forward they come, they've got it out to Ilanga on the right-hand side. He's dispossessed though by Ayer. Now it's with Ryerson for Norway. He goes short to Oscar Bob, getting it onto his right foot. He's just played the pass back to the midfielder Fredrik Orsnes. And it's now back with Berg in the centre circle. Plays it out wide to Ryerson. We've got a minute left of regular time in this first half. It's Norway 3, Sweden 0, and Antonio Nusa goal either side of a Jorgen Strand Larsen brace. As the Crystal Palace striker having a fine game in front of goal so far this evening, as he's laid the ball off to Sorloth. That is brilliant tenacity from Sorloth, as he was slipping over in the turf, but he just kept his eye on the ball, kept winning it, played a little short pass. He was unable to find a teammate though, as a Norwegian player is brought down. They want the free kick, but the referee's waved it away again. So Norway keeping possession in the meantime. The referee happy to play the advantage. As it goes back on the left-hand side, Moller Wolf looking to try and get himself involved. He's had to play the pass back though to the halfway line. Again, Sander Berg the Norway captain has it, trying to just eye up his options, under pressure from Nilsson, so he just plays it back into his own half. We have now had the 45 minutes, we're only going to have the 1 minute of additional time here in Oslo at the Ullevål-Stadion. The home side leading by 3-0. So a big half-time team talk to come from Graham Potter, the Sweden manager, you feel. Here is Nusa for Norway, up on the left-hand side. He's by the edge of the penalty area, just can't get beyond his defender this time, but it's only cleared as far as Sander Berg. Now with Orsnes, tries to click the ball into the penalty area, but he's just overhit it, and that one's going to go all the way out, and it's going to be a goal kick for Sweden, you feel, that would end this first half. At Zetterström, you'd imagine, is just going to clear the ball up high and just get it up and away, and we'll see the half-time whistle blown by the referee Balázs Burka, as the Norway fans, they're all bouncing up and down at the moment, making plenty of noise as the ball does go up high from Zetterström. The header won by Sander Berg, and right on cue, there is the half-time whistle, and what a brilliant first half from Norway. Jorgen Strand Larsen with a brace in this game, and what they both came either side of Antonio Nusa, who made it 2-0, but Norway have been absolutely superb in this international friendly, building themselves up for the World Cup. They're doing this without Erling Haaland or Martin Odegaard. So Jorgen Strand Larsen, who opened the scoring with a deft little header after Julian Ryerson fired in a shot from the right-hand side, but he just flicked his head onto it and guided it into the bottom left corner. Antonio Nusa's goal, the pick of the bunch so far. Lovely play down the left-hand side. Sander Berg with an inch-perfect through ball into the left-hand side of the penalty area. Nusa got it onto his right foot and wrapped it beyond the goalkeeper. And then Norway making it 3. Strand Larsen with another header off a Ryerson ball in, but this one coming from a corner. Ryerson just floated it in, found the head of Strand Larsen, who doubled up his tally for the evening. So half-time here at the Ullevål-Stadion in the Norwegian capital of Oslo. It's Norway 3, Sweden 0. Welcome back, everyone, to this live audio commentary of this pre-World Cup international friendly between Norway and Sweden here in the Norwegian capital of Oslo at the Ullevål-Stadion. Norway absolutely blew Sweden away in that first half. They lead by 3-0. Jorgen Strand Larsen with a brace. His goals came either side of Antonio Nusa's fine finish to make it 2-0. Looks like there has been a couple of changes made at the half-time interval, but mainly for Sweden and their manager Graham Potter. And you can't say that I can't say that I'm surprised whatsoever, given the fact that Sweden have looked really, really poor in that first half. Looks like there's plenty of changes made by Graham Potter. Of course, he does have 15 substitutes to use, so he's got plenty of players that he can go out and make changes for and bring on for the second half. And there's the Swedish players who have come out for the second half. They've all just gone out into a little team huddle just to the left of the halfway line, just to go over the tactics and see what they can do. Basically, it looks like it's almost a completely new look Sweden 11 for this second half. Plenty of changes made. I can very much tell you that at the very least that Anthony Elanga, Lucas Bergvall have gone off. There's plenty different players, I should say, out for this second half for Sweden. So Graham Potter, he's not pulling any punches, it must be said. Doesn't look like Norway have made any changes. The manager Ståle Solbakken is happy with what he saw in that first half to keep things the same, but if there is any changes, I can very much tell you about them as the second half is underway here at the Ullevål-Stadion. Norway 3-0 up in this pre-World Cup friendly against Sweden. Can they add to this evening's tally in this second half, or are they just going to take it a little bit easier in this second half? So for Sweden, can very much tell you Elanga has gone off, so they have brought on Nygren in place of him. So that's Benjamin Nygren who's come on. Lucas Bergvall has also made way, and in his place they've brought on the substitute Sebastian Nanasi. Also going off is Jasper Karlström for Sweden, so he has made way, and for him it's Taha Ali who has come on. So they're the changes, or a few of them rather. So Yasin Ayari has also made way for Sweden. In his place they have brought on Besfort Zanelli. Svensson also went off, and in his place Sweden happy to bring on Berhardsson as well. As in the meantime, Norway have got the ball inside their own half at the moment, happy just to play it around the back. Also took off the centre-back Isaac Hyen, the captain, so the man who's taken the armband off of him is Matthias Svanberg. So there's just the changes made by Sweden. Also Eric Smith making way, and in his place to come on for Sweden, Ken Semmer coming on. So the former Watford man making his way onto the pitch. But that's just the Sweden changes, but there's no action to really tell you about in the first 2 minutes of this second half so far. Still 3-0 to Norway. It looks like they have made a couple of changes just based on who's out there on the pitch at the moment. But in the meantime, they're just having to try and defend this Sweden attack as the ball goes forward. Here comes Sweden, very much a new look about them in this second half, but the ball goes out of play. Ken Semmer trying to keep possession, but that one has gone out before the Norway throw-in, which has been volleyed high up in the air, brought down on the edge of the penalty area by Hegum, who's looking to try and set away a teammate down the left-hand side, but unable to find a teammate, as in the meantime it's just ended up going back from Norway. And now have it by the left of the halfway line, looking to try and get forward, But they're happy just to go back to Sanderberg. It's by the edge of the penalty area now with Hegem, who just tries to play a short pass out, but he's unable to find a teammate. Sweden winning it back, but it's been intercepted. But here they come again, Sweden, looking to try and break away down the left-hand side. It's played up to the edge of the penalty area for Nilsson. He's tackled, the pass goes through, but it's a poor effort in the end. A really tame one from the half-time substitute, Alexander Bernhardsen. Just scuffs it along the turf, straight into the gloves of Ørjan Nyland. And the Norway keeper, it was the first save he's had to make of the second half. He did make a nice one to deny Gustav Nilsson in the first half, but that one a bit too tame. As now from his goal kick, Norway try and break forward again. It's with Sorloth, left-hand side, edge of the penalty area for Norway. Sorloth tries to lay it off, and he has found Nusa. Cross comes into the penalty area, header at the back post from Oscar Bob. He just couldn't guide it goalward. Ended up being bravely blocked by Ken Semmer, and that one's going to go behind for a Norway corner. And they scored from their last one. That's how Strand Larsen got his second of the game and was able to just guide in a header off the Ryerson corner. All the Norway fans behind that goal, they're now attacking to the left of the halfway line, slowly rise up onto their feet in anticipation that their side could maybe go 4-0 up. It looks as if it's going to be swung in by Ryerson into the 6-yard box, but it's headed up and away. Just about cleared by Sweden, but it's dropped for Orsnes on the edge of the penalty area. As Strand Larsen plays it centrally for Oscar Bob by the D. He's gone out wide to Ryerson, cross into the penalty area, not able to find a red shirt. It's gone all the way through to Nusa, left-hand side. He's now up to the edge of the penalty area, the Norway goal scorer. He's gone back to Orsnes. Good ball into the penalty area. Again, it's headed away by a Sweden defender. Norway have another corner, but can tell you at half-time, I thought they'd made a change, but they haven't, so it's still the same starting 11 that are out there in the red, white and blue shirts for the second half. Sweden in total made plenty of changes at the interval. They made 8 substitutions at half-time, so Graham Potter not happy whatsoever with the players that were on there, but also can switch it up, get players minutes before the World Cup. As the corner goes over the hands of the goalkeeper, Zetterström, was a teasing delivery from Ryerson, and Jorgen Strand Larsen, who's already got 2 in this game, just out of frustration as the ball goes over his head, he kicks the post because he knows if he had just got a touch on that, he could have had himself a hat-trick in this international friendly. And with his striker rival, you could argue, going into the World Cup, Erling Haaland, watching on in the stands tonight, you could argue that he'd be very much making a case to his teammate that maybe he just deserves to either be starting alongside him or maybe, in a shock move, starting over him. But with Erling Haaland's goal-scoring record, you can't really not play him. So here comes Sweden, looking to try and build the attack with one of their 8 half-time substitutes, Alexander Bernhardsen, trying to break forward. But he's been well defended, and it's really well dealt with by Moller Wolf to get the ball and try and keep it. Norway now have it with their goalkeeper Ørjan Nyland in his own 6-yard box. He's played the pass short to Ayer, who clips it long, straight at the head of Ekdal of Sweden. So straight at a Norway player. It's now back inside the Norway half with Sanderberg, and he's found Oscar Bob on the right-hand side. Goes in field to Orsnes. It's now back with Oscar Bob. Now the right corner of the penalty area, but he's had to just twist and turn his way away from the Swedish defender. It's back with Oscar Bob over on that right-hand side for Norway. 3-0 up at the moment at the Ullevål Stadion in Oslo. And they've been under very little pressure in this international friendly, very much making a case for themselves going into the World Cup. They do have another pre-World Cup friendly. They travel out to the United States to play Morocco on Sunday before they open up their World Cup campaign on the 16th of June, playing against Iraq. As the ball's gone out of play off a Sweden head, it's going to be a throw-in for Norway, just on the halfway line as they look to try and get themselves a fourth goal in this game. They've been, in the first half especially, absolutely relentless. Just the wide men of Oscar Bob and Antonio Nusa have caused all sorts of issues for the Swedish defence. There's a handball from Ekdal, one of those 8 half-time substitutions for Sweden, so he's given away a free kick just on the halfway line, of which Norway look to try and take quickly. It's now with Moller Wolf down the left-hand side, who plays it forward for Nusa, and it's gone back to Moller Wolf. Low cross in from him, finds the head of Sorloth, but he's put it over the crossbar. It's a really good chance there to make it 4-0, and Sorloth, as he just walks back from missing that header, he just has his head just sunk down looking at the turf, but he just looks over at his teammate Moller Wolf and puts the thumbs up out to him because he knows it was a good quality of cross, but just couldn't divert it in. But Moller Wolf was in an offside position when he crossed the ball anyway, so if Sorloth had scored it wouldn't have counted, and because he was in that offside position, Sweden will restart with a free kick right by the right hand corner of their own penalty area, which Zetterström kicks long to try and find a man in a yellow and blue shirt. He's unable to find one. Now it's with Sorloth for Norway on halfway, and he's using his pace here to get away from all of the yellow and blue shirts. He's played it out wide to Orsnes on the right hand side by the corner of the penalty area, tries the through ball to Oscar Bob, but put way too much pace on it, and the young Fulham winger unable to get on the end of that one. As the goal kick played quickly by Zetterström. Sweden just trying to catch Norway out there, but they're unable to do anything with it. They've opted to play the ball back rather than try and get it forward. They play a long ball up the pitch, but it's really well defended by Ryerson, who just slid in the turf and got the block in on his chest. Here's Strand Larsen, who scored 2 for Norway tonight, finds the other goal scorer Nusa, left corner of the penalty area for Norway, gets it onto his right foot, edge of the box, shot takes a deflection which just guides it wide of the right hand post. Zetterström was at full stretch, but I think even if it had crept in the post, I don't think Zetterström would have got the touch on it, and goes behind for a 4th Norway corner of the game. But Nusa again, he has been such a thorn in Sweden's side the entire evening, just down that left hand side. No one is able to deal with him. Every time he gets the ball, just runs at his defender, tries to cut inside on his right foot, and that shot that time just guarding wide. It's actually Norway's 5th corner of the game, rather, as we've played 11 minutes of the second half at the Ullevall Stadion. Norway 3, Sweden 0. Can they make it 4 off this Ryerson corner? Swung up high, looking for Strand Larsen. It can't reach him. There was a header that was flicked on in search of him, but Zetterström was off his line quickly, and the Swedish goalkeeper in his all-grey kit just rolls the ball along the turf to one of those half-time substitutes, Ekdal. And Sweden looking to try and build out from the back here. Good through ball from Bernhardsson, looking to try and find a teammate, but Moller Wolf has intercepted it. Now here come Norway with Sander Berg. His pass in field, though, in search of Sorloth, is intercepted. And the pass ends up going all the way through to the goalkeeper, Zetterström. Sweden again looking to try and use these wide areas to get up the pitch. Here goes Bernhardsson, again down the right hand side, but he's defended relatively easily. And the ball will go behind for the Norway throw-in. Down there left hand side, Moller Wolf getting it up to the head of Sorloth, just nods it down to Sander Berg. Moller Wolf under a bit of pressure there, so he just gets his head up, plays the pass into a central position for Hegum, and Norway having to just keep the ball at the moment in their own defensive third. Again, they're just looking for that little bit of space that might open up for them just to play the ball into. Here is Sander Berg doing exactly that, just waiting for that bit of space. So he hasn't got it, so he's opted to play the ball out to the right hand side. It's now gone back to the centre half, Christopher Ayer. And now again with Sander Berg. Norway are now readying the changes. We saw 8 made by Sweden at half time. Looks like Norway have got 7 substitutes ready. Here in the meantime is Noosa down the left-hand side. He tries to beat his defender. He's still going, Noosa, by the left corner of the box. Goes back to Sander Berg, plays it back for Orsnes in a central position, but he's had to guide the ball out to the right-hand side for Ryerson by the corner of the penalty area. And back now with Orsnes, who's had to play it back for Ayer. Good through ball to Bob, now with Ryerson by the right-hand side. On the byline here, Ryerson. He's gone back to Oscar Bob. And Norway again unable to just play the ball through in the Swedish defence with that bit of ease and a bit of pace. So they just have to play the ball now around their defensive third, just to the right of the halfway line in their defensive half. It's now with Moller Wolf. Sorloth laying it off to Noosa in the D. Noosa opens up his body. Good save from the goalkeeper. And Noosa just couldn't get the intended direction on that shot, you feel. He was, again, much like his first goal earlier, or rather I should say his only goal of the game, was just trying to cut inside from the left-hand side, get central and just wrap the ball on his right foot into the bottom corner. But that shot just had plenty of power on it, but not perhaps the placement, was just hit straight down the middle of the goal, and Zetterström almost just in a reaction, just almost flinching himself. He just stuck his arms out in front of him and was able to make the save just by putting his arms out in front and get it away from his own goal. Norway do have it again here though, with their centre-back Christopher Ayer about 35 yards from his own goal. And Norway happy just to keep the ball here and wait for that little bit of an opening to try and get forward. Moller Wolf just laying it back to Sander Berg by the edge of his own penalty area, the Norway captain, and he's played it across to his centre-half partner Christopher Ayer. An hour gone here in Oslo. Norway 3, Sweden 0. Strand Larsen with a brace either side of Antonio Noosa's goal, which at the time made it 2-0. But here come Norway, perhaps looking to make it 4. It's with Noosa, left-hand side. He's by the edge of the penalty area. Lovely footwork. He's up into the box. He lays it off for Moller Wolf. Now again with Noosa in the penalty area to the left of goal. Berg laying it off for Orsnes. Now with Ryerson crossing to the box. Oh, and it is 4! A lovely sliding finish from David Moller Wolf, who had stayed up from left back, and he just got up into the box. He jumps for joy in celebration. Really good determination from the Wolverhampton Wanderers fullback to get on the end of that. But that was exactly what Sweden have been all about, or rather I should say what Norway have been all about in this game. Just patience from them, just waiting for that opportunity to find the right pass. Noosa, he knew that it wasn't on that left-hand side, so he just gave it to Sander Berg by the edge of the penalty area and just played out to the right-hand side. Ryerson with a gorgeous cross up into the box. Moller Wolf raced onto it, slid in just on the edge of the 6-yard box to the left of goal, got it in the bottom left corner. There is a VAR check in the meantime, but it is Norway 4, Sweden 0, as VAR still just going to have a proper look at this one. But it's a 4th goal for Norway for Moller Wolf, and that was a really neatly constructed one at that. And just superb play from Norway in the build-up, and just having a look at it, Moller Wolf, it's a very tight one to call because he's almost right on there with the Swedish defender, but you can't take anything away from the build-up and the goal, but you can take it away from the scoreline at the very least, because the VAR check's over and the goal's not going to stand, so it stays at Norway 3, Sweden 0 with 62 minutes on the clock. And here come the plethora of Norway changes. Sweden made 8 at half-time. I think Norway are probably going to make 8 themselves here at the moment. As at the very least, we're going to see a change in captain. So Sander Berg has gone off for Norway. Looks like it's Patrick Berg who is replacing him. There's also a change for Sweden, and on comes one of the main firepower. So they're going to make their 9th change of the game here. So Alexander Isak has come on for them. So Gustav Nilsson has gone off. That's a like-for-like change at striker. So it's another substitution by Graham Potter. But for Norway, there'll be no hat-trick for Jorgen Strand Larsen. He's made way. For him, they've brought on Morten Thorsby. Oscar Bob has also made way. He's gone straight down the players' tunnel, which is quite interesting. Maybe he's gone to get his coat to stay warm. Alexander Sorloth has also gone off for Norway. Looks like for him, Andreas Schjelderup has come on. Christopher Ayer has also gone off for Norway as part of these plethora of changes. Sondre Langas has come on for him, the Derby County defender, so a teammate of the Swedish goalkeeper Jakob Zetterström. And also another change at the back, Torbjorn Hegum has come off as one of those substitutions, and for him Leo Ostergaard has come on. But also, after seeing the ball hit the back of the net but he was offside, off goes David Moller-Wolf. So his last involvement is scoring a goal, which ends up being ruled out. Fredrik Bjorkan has come on for him at left back. Has also another change for Sweden that I missed. Johansson has made way as on comes Victor Lindelof for them. So that's now up to 10 changes made by Graham Potter, the Sweden manager, in this game. We've played 64 minutes. Norway are 3-0 up at the moment. They've just had a goal disallowed for offside by VAR as David Moller-Wolf slid the ball in, but he was too far in front of the last defender. Here come Sweden looking to try and attack, but they have lost the ball, and it ends up just going behind. And another change that was made, Marcus Pedersen has come on for them. Ryerson has made way. Thelo Asgard has also come on for Norway as well, as they've got the ball in the penalty area, but it just runs behind. Asgard trying to keep the ball, but that ends up just going a bit too far beyond him, and that's going to go behind for the Sweden goal kick. So we've even seen that's Jans Petter Haug who has come on, with Oscar Bob making way. So 65 minutes gone. We've seen 9 changes made by Swedish manager Graham Potter. Stale Solbakken, he's getting the players on who he thinks should get a few more minutes for his side. He's made a couple, as Alexander Isak is in here for Sweden to the left of goal inside the penalty area. Just tries to curve a shot on his right foot, but ends up just dropping wide of Orjan Nyland's goal. That one's going to end up going behind for the corner, actually, because the shot took a deflection. So Sweden with a completely new look. Outfield 10 on the pitch. Same for Norway, who have made 10 changes themselves. We're going to wait and see what can be done here on this corner. As he gets played in from the right hand side, it's up high. Nyland does really well to get off his line and claim it, and he's thrown it out quickly, and Norway could be in here straight from this bit of distribution. It's found Schjelderup by the left corner of the box, and he's dancing away. Schjelderup, left corner of the 6-yard box. Oh, that was so close to what would have been a spectacular goal from Andreas Schjelderup. He just sees his effort just drill ever so slightly wide of Zetterström's right hand post, but that was just Route 1 football at the most. Orjan Nyland, after catching the corner, just got his head up. He's thrown the ball from the edge of his own penalty area out to Schjelderup, who's about 30 yards from goal down the left wing. He nutmegs Ken Semmer, and he turns him and the other defender in Sebastian Nanasi. He turns them inside out, gets up to the left corner of the 6-yard box, flashes a shot on his right foot, but it just drops wide. That was ever so close from the Norwegian winger to finding the back of the net. He's so unlucky there, because that would have been a truly spectacular goal. In the meantime, Norway look to try and play out from the back, and they've won the ball here on the halfway, and forward goes Morten Thorsby, and he's played it through to the right-hand side of the box, and it could be 4, but Zetterström does really well to make the save, and the rebounded effort ends up just being flashed wide of the post. We're now halfway through this second half, still Norway 3, Sweden 0. With those last few chances, Norway could have had 5. A really good run forward from Morten Thorsby, and just played the ball through into the path of one of those many substitutes, into the path of Asgard, but his shot low along the turf, and just well saved by the goalkeeper, and the eventual rebound ends up just being flashed well wide, and it's cleared away off that Zetterström goal kick. Nothing coming out of that for Sweden. So the ball is now back inside their own half. Just happy to take their time here, and considering they're 3-0 down, and Graham Potter would have wanted a bit of a reaction from his players. I don't think he's going to be the happiest man in the world at the moment, and that his team are perhaps taking their time a bit here, as it's on the halfway line for Sweden with Benjamin Nygren, the Celtic man. Of course, his side won the Scottish Premiership in dramatic fashion on the final day when they beat Hearts. But here he is again, getting his head up, trying to get the ball out to the right-hand corner of the penalty area. He's found Alexander Isak, who's just trying to get the ball onto his left foot, plays it centrally back to Nygren, but the attempted return pass to Isak, he gets it completely wrong. He's unable to find a teammate. As lovely touch on the halfway line from Asgard, who's got himself away from the Sweden defender, but he was being heavily pulled back by Hjalmar Ekdal, who is the first player to go into the book this evening, and that's not surprising at all, really, because soon as Asgard got the ball by the halfway line, he was all over him, both hands on his shirt, just pulling him back, just preventing him from getting any further forward. I believe they call that one a cynical foul in the world of football, and it's no surprise that he's gone into the book and he's the first name in there. As Norway take the free kick. It's Schjelderup who's got it. He's gone in field from the left hand side. He's played it short to Thorsby, and now here come Norway looking to try and get forward. Played back for Langas. Back with him now on the halfway line, Sondre Langas for Norway. Plays it short to Asgard, who's now just trying to drop deep and become another option to pass to, as Østegård plays it short to him, and now Langas playing it forward, unable to find a teammate, but Norway trying still to get that fourth goal, as here they have it on the edge of the penalty area. It's played out wide to Schjelderup, left hand side, he's by the edge of the box. Schjelderup tries to get it centrally, plays the ball through, but just too heavy of a touch there, just in the final all-important bit, just to try and get the shot in from Haug. He's unable to get the touch on it, and it ends up just being cleared away. Sweden now have it in their own defensive third and just trying to get it forward here by just playing it short amongst their defensive third. They've now got it with Ekdal. He's just gone short. It's in a central position now with Ali. Plays the ball forward. Now Sweden have it on the left-hand side with Sema. He's level by the corner of the penalty area. Still with Sema. A couple step-overs. Tries the cross into the box from the left-hand side. That gets blocked and goes out of play for the throw-in. Sema uses it to go backwards. Here comes Nygren for Sweden, but he gives the ball away, and Norway play out from the back neatly. Just a couple of one-touch passes, but the final one up the pitch in search of Asgard. It gets intercepted, and Norway having to do a bit of defensive work, but it's well done by Langas to intercept and clear it long, but Asgard unable to bring it down on the halfway line, and Sweden get it back. And it's with Lindelof for them, in a more natural centre-back position since he's come on as one of those substitutes for Sweden. Played a lot of the Europa League campaign and in the latter stages of the Premiership with Aston Villa. Played for them as more a defensive-minded midfielder, so just a little bit further forward of a usual back four that Unai Emery utilised, but he's back in that centre-half position. As here comes Sweden looking to try and break forward, and they've got it with Bernhardsson. He's played it back though, down that right hand side. Lindelof is there, now with Nygren looking to try and get forward. He's played it wide to Bernhardsson. Sweden unable to make anything count of it as the eventual attempted through pass from Svanberg, unable to find a teammate. It's a really poor pass actually, and just goes straight through to the Norwegian goalkeeper Ørjan Nyland, who rolls the ball short to Østegård. Norway happy just to kick the ball here in their own defensive third. Bjorkan going back to Nyland. Long ball forward, it's headed away by a Swedish defender. They lose possession of it on the halfway line, and again here comes Schelderup down the left hand side, running at Lindelof. Schelderup up into the penalty area, and a really lovely footwork to try and work a shot. He's laid it off and the shot is blocked. Oh, and the second one just sails over the crossbar. It was another excellent opportunity carved out by Andreas Schelderup. Kasper Haug it was who was unable to keep his effort down and saw it go over the crossbar, but Schelderup there, much like he did a minute ago, just sprinting forward down the left hand side, able to get up into the penalty area, just tried to lay it off. Haug's shot was the one that was actually blocked. It fell to Thorsby for the second attempt, who put it over the crossbar. And from the goal kick, Sweden happy just to play it short, but Norway, without Ødegaard and Haaland in the squad tonight, have had no trouble whatsoever creating opportunities. You saw it with Antonio Nusa when he was on the pitch, and since Schelderup has come on, he's been absolutely brilliant too. Just that left hand side for them just has been where all of the action has come from. As Sweden try and get the ball out to their left hand side themselves, but the long ball over the top, unable to reach Ken Semmer. It's headed behind by a Norwegian defender. It's going to be a throw-in. Sweden taking it quickly. Here is Lindelof on the halfway line, just getting his head up, looking for the pass through, and he's able to find one. Sweden getting the ball out to the right-hand side with Bernhardsson, and here he is again, right-hand side of the box, looks to cut it back for Nygren, but the attempted pass is blocked by Thorsby. Norway keeping possession, happy just to play it around their own defensive third at the moment. They clear it long, looking for Haug, but he's given the ball away. Sweden now have it back. Just a neat little interchange between Zanelli and Nygren, but they lose the ball, and here come Norway again, and it's 3-on-3. Can they make the most of it? It's Schelderup again who's looking to try and break forward. He's got a couple passing options and he lays it off. He almost gets it back, but as he slides in, he just can't get that final touch on it. As Asgard was looking to try and play it back to him, but the pass was intercepted and cleared away. Now here is Alexander Isak for Sweden, left hand side in the penalty area. Isak, lovely footwork, curling effort. Oh, what a brilliant goal from Alexander Isak. It may not count for much, but that is a truly sublime goal from the Liverpool forward. He's made it Norway 3, Sweden 1 with 14 minutes to go, but Sweden, who have had no moments of inspiration or magic so far this evening, that's their first real bit of attacking flair that they've shown, and it's led to a brilliant goal from Alexander Isak, who just did all the work himself. Got on the end of that long ball forward down the right hand side, got up into the penalty area, and as he was being stood up by the defender Sondre Langas, a couple of step overs, sent him one way then the other, cut the ball onto his right foot, just wraps it over Nyland at full stretch into the top right hand corner. That is a truly lovely goal from the Sweden substitute. He's made it 3-1, and at the very least, those Sweden fans who have made the journey over to the Ullevål Stadion tonight in Oslo have seen their team put the ball in the back of the net. And Alexander Isak there just showcasing his quality and why Liverpool paid the significant transfer fee for him, even though it didn't really repay itself over the course of the season. But when you give a player like him that extra yard of space when he cuts the ball onto his right foot, and considering his recent form over the last couple of years, there's only ever one outcome when Alexander Isak gets the ball. It's now Norway 3, Sweden 1 with 77.5 minutes played. Sweden maybe perhaps trying to mount a bit of a late comeback in this international friendly. Lindelof trying to play it out to the right hand side, and he just can't find Bernhardsson, and it's ended up being cleared away by a Norway defender. Just takes a touch off the Sweden man Bernhardsson, so it's going to be a throw-in for Norway. As Bjorkan tries to play it to a teammate, but he's given it away. Isak with a back heel, able to find the Nanasi, who's ventured into the penalty area, got the shot in on his left foot, but it was blocked by a defender. And if he'd just taken that shot a little bit earlier there, Nanasi perhaps could have really made this an interesting one. Could have made it 3-2. He just tried to flick the ball through. He ended up kicking it into the defender Langas, but it was a fortunate touch that gave the ball back to him, but just couldn't get the shot in time. And Norway happy to play it long, and it's gone all the way through to the goalkeeper for Sweden, Jakob Vidal Zetterström. And he just looks to restart players again. All the Norway fans are just sat in their seats. They now make that rowing motion once again, like they did in the first half. Their side, you could say, to use boat analogies, have absolutely cruised into this scoreline and what looks to be quite a convincing victory. They're leading by 3-1 with 11 minutes to go. All their goals coming in the first half. 2 from Jakob Strand Larsen, and the other one coming either side of his goals. Antonio Nusa got the second, but Alexander Isak with a brilliant goal just a couple of minutes ago, spoiling the clean sheet for Norway, but you can't take away from the performance they've had. They even had a goal disallowed for offside by VAR after David Muller-Wolf slid the ball in from close range. But in the meantime, it is Sweden in possession. Long ball forward up into the penalty area. Free header! It's 3-2! And VAR will have a look at that one, because it looked like maybe that Sebastian Nanasi had strayed offside. But I said a minute ago, when he had that earlier chance, if he just shot a minute earlier, he could have made it 3-2. He has done now, and we are in for a very interesting final 10 minutes here in Oslo, even though it is just a friendly. A brilliant long ball forward from the back, just right over the top. Looks like it was Besfort Zanelli that played it, but he spotted the run of the midfielder Sebastian Nanasi absolutely perfectly. It was actually Matthias Svanberg who played it. Gorgeous long ball forward from his own half, and Sebastian Nanasi, brilliant run through from him to get his head on it and guide it into the back of the net. But VAR did have a look at it, and you really got a feel for Matthias Svanberg there, because the goal's been disallowed, as Nanasi was in an offside position when he got on the end of that long through ball. So now both teams have had a goal disallowed, and with 9 minutes to go, it does now stay at Norway 3, Sweden 1. But that was a brilliant ball over the top from Svanberg. He was actually the one who played the long ball up for Isak when he scored the goal that made it 3-1. But in the meantime, Sweden back in possession after Norway from that free kick. They just played it long and gave away possession quite cheaply. But Lindelof now playing it short, looking to find a pass. But Sweden unable to get the ball forward here. They're just keeping it inside their own half. As it goes back to Lindelof, gets it onto his right foot, plays it across to Bernhardsson, whose pass in field has given away possession, and here come Norway, but a bit too powerful of a pass from Berg, which gives Sweden possession back. And now here they come again with Semmer on the left hand side, plays it into Isak, central position. He's about 40 yards from goal, but he's got Nygren up there with him, who he uses. Now again with Isak, right-hand side. He's right by the byline, level with the penalty area. Isak has to play it infield for Nygren. He's by the edge of the penalty area now for Sweden. Lovely little back heel layoff forward. Nyland makes a brilliant save, diving low to his right-hand side as Bernhardsson, with a really teasing effort on his left foot, and just curled it just right into what was that he was aiming for, that bottom right corner. And Nyland, he just about got his fingertips to it with that save after a lovely little layoff by Zanelli. But here is Bernhardsson again for Sweden. He gives the ball away. Lindelof picking up the pieces, but now he's given it away. And here come Norway. Skjelderup sprinting over to that left-hand side, and he's got the ball, but it's too many touches from him to try and keep it in play. It looked like that was going to be a Sweden throw as it went out of play, but the ball had already gone over the line after Skjelderup's final touch, so it's actually a Norway throw-in to restart play. But going back to that chance just a moment ago for Alexander Bernhardsen, maybe it was just going to whistle past the post if Nyland hadn't got there, but the layoff from Best Zanelli was gorgeous, just with his back to goal, just little back heel touch, just set the ball perfectly for Bernhardsen, who did ever so well to curl his effort round the defenders and just get it back in time for Nyland to have to make the save. But I think, just on a second look at it, looks like maybe that the ball would have dropped wide anyway if Nyland hadn't have got there. But here he is at the moment, the Norway goalkeeper, just trying to clip the ball long. He's found the head of a teammate. It's now with Asgard for Norway, but they've had to play it back into the defensive third as Langas tries to get forward, plays it up to the halfway line for Thorsby. Norway again looking to try and get this fourth goal. They've already had one disallowed by VAR. The ball goes back to the halfway line. They just can't seem to carve out an opportunity. Langas knocking it across to his centre half partner Leo Ostergaard. It's now gone out to that left hand side with Schelderup again trying to run at his defender, tries to play the ball down the line. It's intercepted. Lindelof was able to get in front of Bjorkan there, but the ball's going to go behind for a Norway corner. So 5.5 minutes to go of this international friendly. Both teams looking to get warmed up before the World Cup. Norway certainly are looking warm. Same can't really be said for Sweden. Norway 3-1 up. Both teams have even had a goal disallowed by VAR in this second half, as David Moller-Wolf for Norway and Sebastian Nanasi for Sweden were both in offside positions when they scored. Here comes that corner from the left-hand side, cleared away, only as far as Schelderup, about 30 yards out, and plays it out to the left-hand side. He gets the ball back, does Schelderup, trying to get up into the penalty area to the left of goal. He has done. Schelderup still going, tries a shot, but it is blocked, and it drops here to Berg. Again now with Schelderup, left corner of the penalty area for Norway. He's up into the box. Schelderup's low ball in, but well defended by Lindelof, who clears it away. But the Norway onslaught isn't over yet because they still have the ball. Here is Berg for them, who had put on the captain's armband after he came on for Sander Berg earlier in this second half as part of 10 Norway changes. They now have it over on the right hand side, but it's gone back into their own half for Langas, who just plays it short to Berg. Now with Bjorkan down the left hand side, just inside his own half, goes back to Berg. And now Norway again able to build up from the back, but the ball goes out of play. Bit of a loose touch there from Thorsby. It'll be a Sweden throw with 4 minutes to go in this international friendly at the Ullevall Stadion. Norway 3, Sweden 1. All 3 Norway goals coming in the first half. Jorgen Strand Larsen with a brace. His goals coming either side of the second goal that came from Antonio Nusa. Alexander Isak's goal, which you have to say is the pick of the bunch in this game from all of them. He just curled the ball into the top right hand corner after a couple of step overs, beat the defender, made it 3-1. But both teams had goals disallowed by VAR for offside. David Moller-Wolf slid the ball in from close range, and a lovely looping header from Sebastian Nanasi off the end of a glorious Matthias Svanberg over the top ball that he headed in over the goalkeeper, but was offside when the ball reached him, as Sweden maybe perhaps could just get that deficit down to just the 1 goal if they can try and play their cards right off this spell of possession they have at the moment. They've got it on the halfway line. It's now played forward to Sema on the left hand side. He was tackled. The Norway players feel that touched Sema last, but the referee gives the throw in Sweden's favour. It goes back into their own half, and they're happy here just to keep the ball at the moment. Are Sweden. Lindelof playing it short. It's now with Nygren, and he's been dispossessed, but it's a bit too forceful from the midfielder Christian Thordsvet, so the referee awards the free kick for Sweden. They played it quickly. It's now with Ken Sema on the left hand side. He's up by the corner quadrant. He tries a little back heel flick. He feels that he's flicked that into the Norway defender. He was adamant it was a corner, but the referee, Balázs Burka, straight on the scene, awarded the goal kick, and that's what we'll have to restart play. So a little over a minute and a half to go here in Oslo. Norway 3-1 up after truly dominant first half over Sweden. Completely played them off the pitch, but since the change up inside, both teams have made 10 substitutions. Sweden making all of them at the half-time interval. Norway made them all on the 64th minute. But since all of those substitutions, it's certainly been a bit more of an even contest, you could say. In fact, since in the second half, at the very least, Graham Potter, you feel, maybe would have said to his players at half-time, just go out and win the second half. That's exactly what they are doing at the moment. But so that is silly from Ken Semmer in possession on the halfway line. He gives it away, and he's just dragging back the Norway man by his shirt. So referee, although he's seen that, the ball went out of play anyway. He's just going to give the throw-in on halfway for Norway, of which they've taken. We're into the final 45 seconds of regular time. Norway 3, Sweden 1. Jakob Strand Larsen's brace either side of Antonio Nusa's goal had Norway 3-0 up at the interval. Alexander Isak with a lovely goal to put Sweden back into the contest with 14 minutes to go. But remember, both sides had goals ruled out by VAR as well. David Moller-Wolf had what would have been a Norway fourth ruled out as he was offside. And Sebastian Nanasi, just only 4 minutes after Alexander Isak made it 3-1 with a lovely header off a looping over the top ball. He got it over the goalkeeper, but much like Waller-Wolf, he was offside when he put the ball in the net. VAR disallowed it. As Sweden try and play out from the back, but they've given it away right by the right-hand byline. The ball's now on the edge of the penalty area. It's played through to the left-hand side, and the attempted cross-in from Bjorkan gets intercepted and put behind for a Norway throw. We will have 2 minutes of additional time here in Oslo at the Ullevål Stadion before we have the full-time whistle. Norway 3-1 up, but in these 2 minutes, are they going to go for it? Are they going to go and try and score this fourth goal? But remember, they've done all of this, scored 3 goals in one half, had a truly dominant performance, had a fourth disallowed by VAR. They've done this all without Martin Odegaard or Erling Haaland, who both were called up to the World Cup squad but weren't involved in the matchday squad this evening. So you can only wonder what the score might have been if the performance was of a similar ilk and those two were on the pitch. As here is Bjorkan at the moment for Norway, plays it into the centre circle for Berg, back out to Bjorkan. A minute to go now of the 2 that were added on. Norway 3-1 up, very much just looking to just run the clock down, you could feel, just happy to play the ball around the middle of the pitch. They know Sweden aren't going to be all too high pressing and try and steal the ball off them to maybe go and get another goal. And that's exactly what we're seeing at the moment from the Swedish players. They're at the very most, they're about 15 yards away from the Norway man who has the ball whenever they're passing it around. They're putting on a little bit more pressure now though, the Sweden front line, but Norway just deal with it. Østegård goes back to the goalkeeper Nyland, whose kick out, again, really good from him. His distribution has been excellent tonight, Nyland. Always finds a teammate. And here come Norway, perhaps for the last time in the game. They've got it down the right-hand side. It's in the penalty area. It's up in the air. Sheldrup jumping, wins the header. But his 2 teammates ahead of him were in an offside position, so it's going to go behind for a goal kick. But I don't think we'll have it because the 2 minutes of added time are up, and we just wait for the full-time whistle from the referee Balázs Burka, with Norway leading by 3-1 here in Oslo, and the goal kick is actually allowed to be taken by the referee. Zetterström just plays it short, and there is the full-time whistle here in Oslo. Norway warming up for the World Cup in perfect fashion. They did it without Martin Odegaard or Erling Haaland. They have beaten Sweden by 3-1, but with their performance, they deserve so much more. 2 goals for Jakob Strand Larsen, either side of Antonio Nusa, who made it 2-0. Alexander Isak got one back for Sweden with a lovely individual goal after a long ball found him in the left-hand side of the penalty area and he curled it into the top corner. Both teams even had goals disallowed by VAR for offside. David Moller-Wolf had one disallowed by VAR as he was offside after he slid the ball in from close range. That would have made it 4-0 at the time, and a goal that would have made it very interesting with 10 minutes to go after Sebastian Nassi's header looped over Orjan Nyland, but VAR also disallowed that one for offside. But full time, a lot to think about for Graham Potter, the Sweden manager, going into the World Cup as their campaign begins against Iraq in 2 weeks. But for Norway, they're beginning their World Cup competition. They also will play a friendly at the weekend against Morocco out in the United States. Certainly for Ståle Solbakken, he would have loved to have seen that kind of performance tonight. He'll be a very happy man. Full time here in Oslo. It's finished Norway 3, Sweden 1.